Blood stained Luna's cracked gray skin, the elephant's massive leg ensnared in steel wire cutting to bone. Her desperate trumpets had gone silent. "She won't survive," whispered a poacher nearby. But in the shadows, ancient eyes watched. Theo had heard her call. Marcus West had patrolled the Eastern Valley Reserve for 15 years, memorizing every tree and watering hole. This morning felt different. The savannah was unnaturally quiet. No bird calls, no rustling underbrush, just heavy stillness hanging in the air like a warning. He paused at the ridge overlooking the eastern boundary where the grasslands met the river. Something moved in the dense acacia thicket, a large, dark figure. Not threatening, at least not to him. It was Theo, the silverback gorilla, rescued as an orphan decades ago and now the wise guardian of the Eastern Territory. But Theo wasn't behaving normally. No chest beating, no territorial display. Instead, he paced in agitated circles, his intelligent eyes locking with Marcus's as if pleading for him to follow. Then the gorilla made a series of short, urgent grunts before turning and disappearing into the trees. Marcus's instincts fired. Dropping his pack, he followed Theo, who moved with startling purpose through the brush, forcing Marcus to sprint to keep pace. Suddenly, Theo halted in a small clearing. There, in dappled sunlight, Marcus saw her, a female elephant, massive but motionless, her right hind leg caught in a cruel wire snare. Blood pooled beneath her, her skin dull with dust and pain. Her trunk lay limp on the ground, her breathing shallow. This wasn't just any elephant. Marcus recognized a distinctive notch in her right ear. Luna, one of the reserve's most intelligent females. Her once powerful body was now slumped forward, dehydration evident in her sunken temples. The wire snare had cut deep, likely placed by poachers hunting for ivory. She had probably been trapped for days, struggling until exhaustion overtook her. The strangest part wasn't the injured elephant, but Theo's behavior. The gorilla approached Luna slowly, not with aggression or even caution, but with what looked remarkably like concern. He moved to her side and sat just feet away from her massive form. Luna's eyes, clouded with pain, focused not on Marcus but on Theo. She didn't thrash or trumpet in fear. Instead, her trunk weakly lifted, reaching toward the gorilla. "This is impossible," Marcus whispered. Elephants and gorillas rarely interacted this way. They inhabited different worlds, different ecological niches. Yet here they were, two intelligent species, one reaching out to the other in its moment of greatest vulnerability. Marcus radioed for emergency assistance. Female elephant down with a poacher's snare. Severe leg injury. Blood loss significant. Bring the full medical kit and the hydraulic cutter. While waiting for the team to arrive, Marcus observed the extraordinary scene unfolding. Theo stayed beside Luna, occasionally making soft vocalizations when her breathing became labored. More remarkable was how Luna's breathing seemed to steady whenever Theo grunted. The elephant's ears, typically expressive indicators of emotion, gently flapped forward whenever the gorilla moved closer. Dr. Christine Landry and her team arrived within the hour, equipment bouncing in the back of their truck as they navigated the rough terrain. Christine, the reserve's lead elephant specialist, assessed the situation with practiced efficiency, her blonde hair tucked under a wide-brimmed hat, her movements precise. "The snare's cut nearly to the bone," she said quietly. One wrong move could sever an artery. As the team prepared to tranquilize her, Marcus couldn't stop watching Theo. The gorilla backed away when humans approached but refused to leave. He remained vigilant, watching from the shade of an acacia tree, his silverback catching the midday sun. The moment Luna felt the tranquilizer dart, her body tensed. A soft rumble escaped her throat. Not a sound of pain, but almost like reassurance directed at Theo. The gorilla responded with his own low grunt, and Marcus watched in amazement as an unspoken communication passed between them. "I've never seen anything like this," Dr. Christine whispered as Luna's massive form slowly relaxed under sedation. This interaction shouldn't be happening. The team worked with urgent precision. Marcus crouched beside Luna's injured leg, examining the cruel wire that had nearly severed her flesh. The wound was deep, infected, with alarming discoloration spreading up her leg. This wasn't a random trap. Poachers had specifically targeted elephant paths, hoping to immobilize their prey for easier access to tusks. "She's been struggling against this for at least 3 days," Christine said, wiping sweat from her brow. "The fact that she's still alive is remarkable." The hydraulic cutter groaned against the reinforced wire. With each attempt, Luna's body flinched slightly despite the sedation. And each time, Theo shifted position, his eyes never leaving the elephant. Finally, with a metallic snap, the snare broke open. Blood surged from the wound, prompting immediate action from Christine, who cleaned the deep gash while her assistant prepared antibiotics and anti-inflammatory medications. Throughout the procedure, Theo remained motionless, his massive hands resting on the earth, his breathing slow and measured. When Luna stirred under bandaging, he released a low, gentle sound that made every human pause in their work. "He's comforting her," Marcus realized aloud. The team carefully loaded Luna onto a reinforced stretcher attached to the truck. As the vehicle slowly pulled away, Theo rose to his feet. To everyone's astonishment, he followed, moving through the trees parallel to the road, sometimes visible, sometimes hidden, but always keeping pace. Back at the rehabilitation center, Luna was placed in the largest recovery enclosure, a spacious area with shade and soft ground. The team worked in shifts, monitoring her vitals, cleaning her wound, ensuring she received fluids and medication. When Marcus stepped outside that evening to check the perimeter, he found Theo sitting just beyond the fence, his gaze fixed on Luna's enclosure. Marcus didn't chase him away. Instead, he sat nearby, observing as the gorilla's presence seemed to calm the elephant. Luna's trunk would occasionally reach toward the fence when Theo made soft sounds, her ears moving forward in recognition. Over the next 2 days, Luna's condition stabilized. She began eating small amount of vegetation the team provided, her eyes clearer, more alert. But what fascinated everyone was her behavior. Whenever Theo appeared, she would shift her massive body to face him, her trunk often extended toward his position. Even more surprising, Theo had started bringing fresh bamboo shoots, placing them near the fence where Luna could reach with her trunk. "They're not just tolerating each other," Christine noted. "They're communicating. They're connecting." By the 5th day, word had spread through the conservation community. A drone had captured footage of Theo's daily visits to Luna, and researchers from neighboring projects were asking questions. Marcus had been documenting everything. The way Luna's health improved faster than expected, how she responded to Theo's presence with decreased stress hormones, visible in her dung samples, the apparent recognition between species. That morning, the reserve felt different again. The animals were restless. Baboons barking alarm calls, birds taking flight in unison. Even the typically calm staff moved with nervous energy. Something had shifted in the delicate balance of the sanctuary. Marcus reviewed the overnight security footage and noticed unusual movement along the eastern fence. Flashlights where there shouldn't be any. Poachers have been growing bolder lately, desperate for ivory as prices soared on black markets. "Increase patrols on the eastern boundary," he instructed the rangers, "and check the camera traps." Near midday, while checking Luna's bandages, Marcus noticed her sudden alertness. Her ears spread wide, her trunk raised, testing the air. She let out a low-frequency rumble, a warning sound elephants use to communicate danger. At the same moment, Theo, who had been resting near the fence, suddenly stood erect, nostrils flaring, eyes focused toward the eastern tree line. "They sense something," Marcus said to Christine. "Something we can't." Before they could react, the radio crackled. "Poacher tracks found at the eastern gate. Signs of multiple individuals, possibly armed." The sanctuary's alarm system activated with sharp, piercing tone. Rangers rushed to secure vulnerable areas, while veterinary staff hurried to reinforce animal enclosures. Throughout the commotion, Marcus couldn't stop watching Luna and Theo. The elephant, despite her injury, had risen to her feet, standing tall despite the evident pain. Her trunk remained elevated, ears fully extended. Classic defensive posture. Theo hadn't fled either. He stood firm, knuckles pressed against the ground, eyes fixed on the tree line. The stillness broke when 2 men emerged from the brush. Not staff, but strangers in dirt-smeared clothing. One carried a rifle, the other a machete. They had somehow breached the perimeter fence. targeting the rehabilitation area, where injured animals would be easy prey. Theo reacted with explosive force. He charged toward the fence, slamming his powerful fists against it, releasing a thunderous roar that echoed across the sanctuary. Luna joined with trumpet blasts so powerful, it made the ground vibrate beneath Marcus's feet. The poachers hesitated, momentarily stunned by the coordinated defense display. The one with the rifle recovered first, raising his weapon toward Luna's enclosure. Marcus lunged for his tranquilizer gun, but knew he wouldn't be fast enough. A shot cracked through the air, but before it could find its target, dark figures burst from the surrounding forest. 3 more guerrillas from Theo's troop charged from different directions, screaming and beating their chests in synchronized attack. The poachers panicked, one dropping his rifle as they scrambled back toward the fence they cut through. Rangers converged on the scene, but the poachers had already disappeared into the brush, pursued to the boundary by Theo's troop members. The guerrillas hadn't attacked directly. They created enough chaos and fear to drive the threat away. When the danger passed, Theo returned to the fence. Luna, trembling from exertion, limped toward him. In a moment that left everyone watching in stunned silence, the elephant extended her trunk through the fence, and Theo reached out his hand. Their touch, separated by steel mesh, held for several long seconds, 2 protectors acknowledging what they'd faced together. That night, unable to sleep, Marcus searched through the reserve's archive records. Something about the connection between Luna and Theo seemed familiar, like a half-remembered story. In the digital files, he found what he was looking for, footage from 8 years ago. The video showed a juvenile elephant, unmistakably Luna by her ear notch, being rehabilitated after her mother was killed by poachers. The young elephant had been housed temporarily in an enclosure adjacent to where a younger Theo was also being rehabilitated. The footage captured moments of them interacting through the fence, the young elephant's trunk reaching curiously toward the gorilla, Theo mimicking her movements, the 2 of them playing a strange game of copycat. It wasn't random, Marcus whispered to himself. They knew each other. The revelation hit him like lightning. Luna hadn't wandered into Theo's territory by accident. When injured and desperate, she had deliberately sought out the one being who had shown her kindness during her traumatic early years. Despite being different species, despite years apart, she had remembered him. And somehow, Theo had remembered her too. The next morning, Marcus called an emergency meeting with the reserve's management board and Dr. Christine's team. He presented the footage, the medical reports, and his own observations before making an unprecedented proposal. Luna and Theo have formed a bond that defies our understanding of interspecies relationships, he explained. Keeping them permanently separated seems cruel, but releasing a partially recovered elephant with a gorilla is uncharted territory. After heated debate, a compromise emerged. They would create a monitored semi-wild zone, a protected valley with natural boundaries where both animals could roam freely while researchers observed from a distance. It would be a sanctuary within the sanctuary, a place where nature could determine what happened next. We spent our careers studying these animals, Christine said, but maybe it's time we learn from them instead. The board agreed, with strict protocols for minimal human interference. This wasn't just about Luna and Theo anymore. It was about understanding something profound about animal cognition and emotional memory that science had barely begun to explore. The release day dawned clear and quiet. No media, no crowds, just Marcus, Christine, and a small team standing at the edge of the newly designated area. Luna's enclosure gate was opened first, revealing a gently sloping path leading to a lush valley with a small stream running through it. Theo was already there, waiting in the shade of a sprawling fig tree. Luna stepped forward slowly, her injured leg moving stiffly, but supporting her weight. The massive elephant paused at the threshold, her sensitive trunk testing the air, ears shifting directionally as she absorbed the sounds and sense of freedom. Then, with deliberate purpose, she crossed into the open territory. For several breathtaking moments, she stood motionless, as if processing the significance of the moment. Then her gaze found Theo. The gorilla rose from a seated position, and they moved toward each other with unhurried certainty. When they met in the center of the clearing, there was no dramatic display, no trumpeting or chest beating. Luna simply lowered her head, gently touching her trunk to Theo's shoulder. The gorilla reached up, his hand resting briefly against her weathered skin. The gesture wasn't theatrical. It was deeply intimate, like old friends reuniting after long separation. "They remember," Christine whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "After all these years, they remember each other." In the following weeks, scientists observed as Luna and Theo established their natural rhythm. Their bond continued to flourish in freedom, challenging everything we thought we knew about animal consciousness. Luna's recovery accelerated, her movements growing stronger each day in Theo's companionship. Marcus often reflected on what this extraordinary friendship had taught him. That wisdom doesn't always come from human intellect, but sometimes from an elephant's memory and a gorilla's heart. Their story revealed that emotional intelligence transcends species, that compassion needs no common language, and that perhaps we humans have only scratched the surface of understanding the depth of animal consciousness. As Luna and Theo disappeared into the midst of their valley one evening, Marcus realized that some bonds are beyond explanation. They simply exist as testament to a deeper truth about life on our shared planet. Have you ever witnessed a special connection between different animal species? The story of Luna and Theo reminds us that elephants possess remarkable memory and emotional intelligence. They're among the few animals that can recognize themselves in mirrors, showing their self-awareness. If this story touched your heart, please share it to raise awareness about these magnificent creatures. Like, subscribe, and tell us in the comments, what other amazing elephant stories would you like to hear? Your support helps protect these gentle giants for generations to come.